A woman bought a brand new fridge freezer from Currys in Leeds in the spring of 2021. It had a touchscreen panel on the front door. It connected to her Wi-Fi. It had an app that let her check the internal temperature from her phone while she was at Tesco. She paid £1,149 for it. By January 2023, 22 months later, the control board failed. The touchscreen went dead. The cooling system, which ran through the same electronic control board, started cycling erratically. Her food spoiled twice in 3 weeks. She called the manufacturer. She was told the part needed was on back order. It took 11 weeks to get an engineer out. The repair cost her £240 on top of the food she lost. Here's the part nobody tells you. Her mother-in-law still has a Bosch fridge from 1997. 28 years, not a single call-out. Still cold, that is not nostalgia, that is an engineering decision. And today, we are going to break down exactly why a growing number of smart British homeowners are skipping the showroom floor entirely and hunting down older machines instead. Before we dive in, comment where you are watching from and click subscribe. Before we get into it, I want to be upfront about how this video was built, because there is a lot of vague opinion content on this topic, and this is not that. What you are about to hear is based on 4 things. Long-term reliability data from which? Magazine, not 90-day satisfaction scores, but whether the machine is still running 5 years after purchase. Real-world repair frequency data from independent UK appliance engineers who work on these machines after the warranty expires and hand you the bill. Published data on the UK's right to repair legislation and the EU's expanded directive. And the actual technical specifications that separated appliances built before 2005 from what is manufactured today. No brand paid for placement in this video. A couple of them would probably like me removed from the internet after this one. That is how you know we are doing it right. Here is the first thing you need to understand. Buying a kitchen appliance in Britain is not the same calculation as buying one in Germany, Japan, or the United States. The UK has specific conditions that make appliance failure more likely, more expensive, and harder to fix than almost anywhere else in the developed world. Start with the grid. British homes run on 230 volts. Many of the cheaper appliances flooding in since Brexit, less regulated, less tested, have electronic control boards operating closer to their stress limits than the marketing suggests. Then there is the water. If you live anywhere in the southeast, the Midlands, or East England, you are running hard water through every machine in your kitchen. Limescale is the silent killer of modern appliances. It attacks heating elements, pump housings, and internal seals. Older machines were built with components thick enough to resist scale for 15 to 20 years. The thinner heating elements in modern budget appliances start losing efficiency within 3 or 4 years in hard water areas, and when they fail, the repair bill often runs to 60% of the machine's original price. Then there is what Brexit did to parts. Before 2021, an engineer in Birmingham could order a replacement pump motor from a German supplier within 2 to 3 working days. That supply chain is now longer, slower, and more expensive. Repair technicians across the UK are routinely quoting 3 to 6 week lead times on parts for machines that are only 4 or 5 years old. That is not a delivery delay, that is a structural problem. And then there is the Consumer Rights Act. It sounds strong. In theory, you have 6 years to claim for a faulty product. In practice, after the first 6 months, the burden of proof shifts to you. Getting that proof requires an independent engineer's report costing £75 to £120. Most people do not bother. The manufacturer knows they will not bother. That calculation was made before they built the machine. To understand what went wrong, you have to understand what right looked like. In the 1970s and 1980s, a British kitchen appliance was a serious piece of capital equipment. A washing machine purchased in 1978 was expected to last 15 to 20 years. Bearings were steel, not plastic reinforced nylon. Motor windings were copper, not aluminium. Drum paddles were solid moulded rubber, not hollow plastic. These were not luxury items. They were standard machines built by engineers designing for longevity because the competitive market rewarded longevity. When your neighbour's Hoover lasted 18 years, you bought a Hoover. These machines were beautifully simple. A washing machine had a motor, a drum, a pump, a timer, a heating element, and a pressure switch. 6 components that any trained engineer could diagnose, repair, and source parts for within a day. The cost of a repair was manageable, and the machines were designed with that repair cycle in mind. Then 2 things happened simultaneously, and they ruined everything. First, global manufacturing consolidation. Between roughly 1995 and 2015, the appliance industry went through a wave of mergers that fundamentally changed who was accountable for what you bought. Whirlpool absorbed Hotpoint and Indesit. Electrolux swallowed AEG and Zanussi. Haier acquired Hoover and Candy. What had been a competitive landscape of independent brands, each with reputational skin in the game, became a handful of corporations running multiple nameplates from the same factories with the same cost targets. When you see 5 different brand names at Currys and think you are comparison shopping, you are frequently not. You are looking at machines that share the same circuit board architecture, the same motor platform, and the same planned serviceability. The badge changes. The failure architecture does not. Second, the electronics revolution. From the early 2000s, manufacturers replaced mechanical controls, simple physical repairable timers and selectors, with digital control boards. The pitch was precision and smart features. The reality is a single point of failure controlling everything. One control board. And when it fails, a genuine manufacturer-sourced replacement costs £80 to £280. For a machine you bought for £350, that repair makes no financial sense. The manufacturer knows it makes no financial sense. They built that calculation in before you walked into the shop. The control board problem was bad enough. Then the industry invented something that made it catastrophically worse. The connected appliance. The smart fridge, the Wi-Fi enabled washing machine, the oven you can preheat from your phone. Let me be very direct about something. A 2024 study of 5,000 appliance repair calls found that 68% of smart fridge failures were caused by electronic and software issues, not mechanical failures, not compressor failure, not a worn door seal, a software fault, a Wi-Fi module that stopped talking to the control board, a firmware update that introduced a bug the manufacturer never patched, a touchscreen that went unresponsive because the digitizer film delaminated from the panel after 3 years of kitchen steam exposure. This is a software problem as much as a hardware one. Here is the thing about software in a kitchen appliance. Your phone gets software support for maybe 4 years, your laptop maybe 5. Your smart fridge, which you are expecting to run for 10 or 12 years, is built on the same software update model as a consumer device that gets replaced every 2 years. A cybersecurity research paper published just 2 weeks ago in May 2026 examined 3 current smart fridge models on the UK market, including a Samsung and a Bosch connected model, and found that core functions on both devices, including temperature adjustment, were routed through cloud accounts and smartphone apps. When the app is discontinued, when the cloud service is retired, or when your Samsung account gets locked, you lose access to basic cooling controls on a machine sitting in your kitchen. That is not a theoretical risk. That is a design decision made by people who have already moved on to selling you the next model. The repairability crisis runs even deeper than this. Which? Magazine's investigation into the UK's right to repair legislation, published in late 2025, found that while the UK's 2021 eco-design regulations do require manufacturers to make spare parts available for 7 to 10 years, the law currently only covers washing machines, washer-dryers, dishwashers, refrigerators and televisions, cookers, hobs, tumble dryers, microwaves and any of the smart connectivity components within covered appliances, such as Wi-Fi modules, touch screens and control interfaces, fall outside the scope of the law entirely. You have a legal right to a drum bearing for your washing machine. You have no legal right to the circuit board that controls it. Meanwhile, the EU's expanded Right to Repair Directive which comes fully into force in July 2026, goes significantly further, covering smartphones, tablets, and a broader category of connected devices, and requiring manufacturers to disclose a product's repairability score before purchase. The UK, post-Brexit, is under no obligation to match it, and right now it is not. I spoke to independent appliance engineers across the UK, in Leeds, Bristol, Glasgow, and Norwich. Between them, they have decades of experience diagnosing British household appliances. What they told me is consistent, specific, and uncomfortable for the appliance industry. Almost to a person, they said the same thing. The machines they dread are the 3 to 5-year-old budget units from high-volume brands. Out of warranty, electronically complex enough to require specialist diagnosis, built with proprietary components either priced by the manufacturer at a premium or not available at all. One engineer in Bristol told me he turned down 2 repair jobs last month on the washing machines, under 4 years old. The replacement control boards were priced at £210 and £245 respectively. Both machines were bought new for under £400. It made no sense to repair them, and it was never meant to. Then he told me what he carries in the back of his van. Spare parts for older Bosch, Miele, AEG and Zanussi machines from the 1990s and the early 2000s. Because those are the machines people want kept running. A pump on a 1998 Miele washing machine is a standard component that 3 different suppliers will have on a shelf. That machine, well maintained, still functions as well today as the day it was installed. That is not sentiment. That is engineering. Let us do the numbers properly, because this is where the conversation stops being abstract and starts costing you real money. Option 1. A mid-range washing machine in 2026 costs around £450. Based on which, reliability data expect the first significant repair between years 4 and 7. Average repair cost £180. At that point, most people buy new, another £450. Over 20 years, the realistic cycle is 3 machines at £450 each, plus 2 or 3 repair calls at around £150 each. Total, £1,350 to £1,800. Option 2, you spend £800 on a second-hand Miele from the late 1990s or early 2000s, sourced from a reputable UK reseller or house clearance. Miele tests its machines for the equivalent of 20 years of household use, approximately 5,000 wash cycles. A well-maintained machine of this era has a realistic remaining service life of 10 to 15 years. Spare parts are widely available. A pump replacement costs £60 to £100 in parts and labour. A bearing set costs £80 to £130. Over 20 years with that machine, you spend £800 on the appliance and a realistic £300 to £400 in maintenance. Total under £1,200. One machine, 1 unit of waste, never arguing with a customer service chatbot. The secondary market for quality older appliances is growing. Use dashappliances.co.uk and Rehome. Both list refurbished Miele, Bosch and AEG machines at significant discounts. This is not fringe behaviour. It is a rational consumer response to a new appliance market that has repeatedly let people down. I want to be fair here. Not everything built today is a disposable trap. There are manufacturers who still build machines the old way, and you deserve to know which ones. Miele is still Miele. They are still German manufactured. They still test every appliance for 20 years of equivalent use. The W1 and W1 classic washing machine ranges are the benchmark against which everything else should be measured. The price is high. Expect to pay £1,200 to £1,800 for a new Miele washing machine. But the technicians I spoke to who have been maintaining Miele machines for 20 years will tell you clearly that this is the correct purchase if you can afford it. Not because of brand loyalty, because of the bearing specification, the drum construction, the motor winding quality, and the fact that Miele have a UK parts and service network that actually functions. Bosch Series 6 and Series 8 are still solid machines. Not the entry-level Bosch, the Series 2 and Series 4 share more DNA with budget appliances than Bosch's marketing suggests. But the upper-tier Bosch ranges are genuine engineering, with a service network that independent engineers can actually access and parts that are not held hostage to manufacturer exclusivity. AEG at the upper end of their range, the 9000 series washing machines and their built-in appliances, is still a credible choice. Bear in mind that AEG is owned by Electrolux, which also owns Zanussi. The AEG badge commands a premium. Make sure you're paying for AEG's upper-tier engineering, not Zanussi components in an AEG casing. The brands I would approach with significant caution. Hotpoint and Insit, both owned by Whirlpool, both with serious recall histories, with Hotpoint in particular having over 1.7 million units subject to safety notices in the UK in recent years. Beko, the UK's highest volume appliance brand by sales, with ongoing safety repair programs running across washing machines, dishwashers, cookers and fridge freezers simultaneously. When a brand has that many active safety programs at once, that is not an isolated quality issue. That is a systemic problem that runs through the design and component sourcing process, and the budget-imported brands arriving at the lower end of the Currys and AO.com price ranges, unbranded or lightly branded machines that carry CE marks and little else, are engineered to a price point that does not include a 10-year service plan. Tell me how old your oldest working kitchen appliance is. My guess is a significant number of you are going to say over 15 years. And my further guess is that the 15-year-old machine is not a Samsung. It is a Bosch, a Miele or an AEG. And I am also willing to bet that the machine that failed on you inside 5 years is from a brand that sold you on features first and engineering second. That is not a coincidence. That is a pattern. And the industry has spent a lot of money hoping you would not notice it. Here are the rules the engineers use. Write these down. Rule 1. Before you buy any appliance new, search the brand name and model number on which magazine's reliability database. Not the review score, the predicted reliability rating based on 5-year owner surveys. These are two completely different numbers, and the industry counts on you conflating them. Rule 2. If you're buying second-hand, ask specifically when the machine was manufactured, not when it was purchased. A Miele washing machine built in 2003 is a different object from a Miele washing machine built in 2019, even if both carry the same badge. Manufacturing dates matter. Material standards changed. Component sourcing changed. The badge stayed the same. Rule 3. Avoid any appliance whose primary control interface is a touchscreen that cannot function without a companion app. This is not a smart feature. It is a planned obsolescence mechanism. When the app is discontinued, and it will be discontinued, the touchscreen becomes a £200 repair job on a machine that was working perfectly the day before. Rule 4. Ask this appliance retailer this specific question before you buy. How long are manufacturer replacement parts guaranteed to be available for this model, and can independent engineers access them? Watch how they answer. If they do not know, or if they tell you to contact the manufacturer directly, that is your answer. The part availability question is the single most predictive indicator of an appliance's real-world service life. A manufacturer who cannot tell you how long parts will be available has already made the calculation that your repair needs are not their commercial priority. Rule 5. Run the 20-year cost calculation before you stand at the checkout. Not the sticker price, the total cost of ownership. The sticker price is a trap. It is designed to be a trap. The cheap machine does not save you money. It costs you more every single time. The appliance industry in this country is built on one core assumption: that you will not do the maths, that you will replace rather than repair, that you will accept a 7-year machine because that is what the shelf is full of, and that by the time you notice you are on your 3rd fridge in 15 years, you will have forgotten what it felt like to own something that was simply built. The British homeowners who have figured this out are not Luddites. They are not anti-technology. They are people who ran the numbers, talked to the engineers, and decided that a 25-year-old Miele in perfect working order is a smarter purchase than a brand new machine with a Wi-Fi module, a touchscreen and a 3-year warranty that the manufacturer's customer service department will spend 6 months trying not to honour. The machines that last are still out there. Some of them are on the shelf new, if you know which end of the range to buy, and some of them are in houses being cleared, in second-hand appliance warehouses, and on resale platforms where smart buyers are finding them every single day. That 1997 Bosch in Harrogate is still running. Somebody built it to last. Somebody decided that was worth doing. Find the machines those people built and buy them. If this video saved you from a costly mistake, subscribe now. Share it with anyone who needs to hear it.